Outside a locked gate on the edge of Rome, a wealthy senator is bidding for an empire. His name is Didius Julianus. Inside the walls, another man is already negotiating with the soldiers. Offers are being shouted across the gate, one figure at a time. This is not a metaphor. The two men are competing in real time to see who can promise the Praetorian Guard more money for its loyalty. Whoever wins will receive the most powerful title in the ancient world. He will also be dead roughly 66 days later. To understand how an empire ended up for sale, we have to go back 3 months, to the murder of the man who tried to reform it. For 12 years, Rome had been ruled by Commodus, a young emperor remembered for excess, brutality, and growing contempt for the Senate. By the end of 192 CE, he had made too many enemies. Commodus was strangled inside the imperial palace, and Rome needed a new ruler by morning. The man chosen was Pertinax, a respected senator and experienced commander who had spent decades rising through Rome's military and political ranks. He inherited a treasury weakened by Commodus's spending. He also inherited the Praetorian Guard, elite soldiers stationed near the capital to protect the emperor and maintain order in Rome. Under Commodus, they had become accustomed to generous rewards and relaxed discipline. Pertinax tried to repair what he had inherited. He reduced palace expenses, sold imperial luxuries, and attempted to restore order within the guard. But reform creates enemies when disorder has become profitable. To Pertinax, discipline was necessary. To the soldiers guarding his life, it looked like a threat to everything they had come to expect. Rome's provincial legions defended distant frontiers. The Praetorian Guard defended the emperor's front door. That proximity made the guard uniquely dangerous. It was the only major military force close enough to remove an emperor before the frontier armies even knew he was in danger. On March 28, 193 CE, a group of Praetorians left its camp and marched toward the imperial palace. The surviving accounts disagree over the exact number of soldiers and the immediate cause of the attack. The outcome is not in dispute. Pertinax was warned that they were coming. Rather than flee, he reportedly went out to confront them and attempted to reason with them. For a moment, some of the soldiers may have hesitated. Then one attacked. The others followed. After 87 days as emperor, Pertinax was killed inside the palace by the men who had sworn to protect him. Rome once again had no ruler, and the soldiers who had just demonstrated their power to remove an emperor now had to decide who would replace him. News of the murder spread quickly. 2 prominent Romans moved toward the Praetorian camp, each hoping to claim the position the guard had just made vacant. The first was Titus Flavius Sulpicianus, the urban prefect responsible for order in Rome and the father-in-law of Pertinax. He was already inside the camp, attempting to negotiate with the soldiers. Then, Didius Julianus arrived outside the walls. Julianus was a wealthy senator, former consul, and experienced provincial governor. He had money, connections, and enough ambition to approach soldiers who had murdered the previous emperor only hours earlier. What followed became one of the most infamous episodes in Roman history. With Sulpicianus inside and Julianus outside, competing offers passed between the two men. The soldiers relayed each new offer between the two men. One candidate promised more, then the other raised his offer. The surviving accounts disagree over the exact amounts, but not over the essential point. The Praetorian Guard compared the financial promises and chose the larger one. Julianus outbid his rival. The gates opened. He entered the camp and was proclaimed emperor by soldiers he had just promised to pay. It should have been a moment of triumph. Instead, Julianus had made the nature of his power impossible to hide. His reign had begun, not with an election, an inheritance, or a battlefield victory, but with a financial bargain made beside a locked gate. He had won the title. He had not yet secured the empire. Julianus left the camp surrounded by armed Praetorians. He needed their protection before he had even reached the palace. The Senate assembled under obvious pressure. Its members were being asked to recognize a ruler selected by the same soldiers who had murdered Pertinax earlier that day. The senators confirmed Julianus as emperor, but formal recognition did not produce public acceptance. Crowds jeered him in the streets. Many Romans mourned Pertinax, and some reportedly called for Pescennius Niger, a powerful governor in the east, to come to Rome. Everyone understood how Julianus had obtained the throne. An emperor's murder had produced not punishment, but an auction. Now the winning bidder had to govern a population that despised the way he had won. There was another problem. It remains uncertain whether Julianus could deliver everything he had promised the Guard. Ancient sources give conflicting accounts of how much money was available and how much was eventually paid. But the trap created by the promise was clear. If Julianus paid, he confirmed that murdering an emperor had been profitable. If he delayed or failed to pay, he risked losing the soldiers who had placed him on the throne. His greatest danger, however, was not inside Rome. It was hundreds of miles away, where the empire's real armies were learning what the Praetorian Guard had done. Rome was the capital of the empire. It was not the whole empire. Most Roman soldiers were stationed along distant frontiers under commanders with armies of their own. When news of Pertinax's murder and Julianus's accession reached the provinces, several of those armies refused to accept the decision made in Rome. In Syria stood Pescennius Niger, supported by powerful eastern legions and reportedly popular with the Roman crowds. In Britain stood Clodius Albinus, commanding experienced soldiers but separated from Italy by a considerable distance. Closest to Rome stood Septimius Severus, governor of Upper Pannonia on the Danube frontier. Severus had experienced troops, a relatively direct route into Italy, and an immediate understanding of what the crisis required. Speed. His soldiers proclaimed him emperor in early April. Severus then presented himself not merely as another man seeking the throne, but as the avenger of Pertinax. It was an effective political message. His march could be portrayed as a campaign to punish murderers and restore order, even though imperial power was clearly the prize. He also ensured that he would not have to face every rival at once. Severus offered Albinus the title of Caesar, making him a junior imperial partner and possible successor. Albinus accepted. The agreement would not last, but Severus did not need it to last. He needed Albinus to remain in Britain while he marched south. With Albinus temporarily neutralized and Niger still organizing in the east, Severus advanced toward Italy. His frontier troops had experience, discipline, and confidence in their commander. Julianus had a title and whatever loyalty remained among the Praetorian Guard. In Rome, he attempted to organize a defense. Ancient accounts mock the preparations, describing barricades, hurried military training, and even attempts to prepare elephants for battle. Some of those details may have been exaggerated by hostile writers. The larger picture is clear. Julianus was trying to create, in a matter of weeks, the military support Severus already possessed. It made little difference. As Severus advanced through northern Italy, cities opened their gates to him. Soldiers and officials sent to oppose him changed sides or refused to resist. Ravenna, home to one of Rome's most important fleets, accepted Severus without a major battle. The road toward the capital was opening. Each defection changed the calculation of the next commander. A soldier who might have resisted Severus a week earlier could now see that Julianus's position was collapsing. Loyalty to the emperor in Rome increasingly looked like a decision to fight for the losing side. Julianus still occupied the palace. Coins still carried his name. The Senate's decrees still declared him emperor. But orders possess power only while people believe they will be obeyed. That belief was disappearing. Severus now turned his attention to the soldiers who had created the crisis. He offered the Praetorian Guard a choice. If the guards surrendered the men responsible for Pertinax's murder and refused to resist his advance, the rest would be spared. The Guard could fight for Julianus against experienced frontier legions, or it could sacrifice the assassins and protect itself. The Guards accepted Severus's terms. They arrested the men blamed for killing Pertinax and abandoned the emperor they had proclaimed only weeks earlier. It was betrayal, but it was also self-preservation. Julianus had purchased their proclamation. He had never secured their willingness to die for him. The men who had auctioned the empire in March were, by June, unwilling to risk their lives defending what they had sold. With the Guard gone and Severus's army approaching Rome, the Senate met again. This time, Julianus no longer controlled the soldiers surrounding the chamber. The senators condemned him to death, withdrew their recognition, and proclaimed Septimius Severus emperor. Julianus was killed inside the imperial residence before Severus had even entered the city. Ancient writers attach final words to the scene, but they cannot be verified. They are not needed. 66 days after promising a fortune for the most powerful office in the ancient world, Didius Julianus was dead. Severus entered Rome not as a claimant, but as its master. He ordered the Praetorian Guard to assemble without weapons. Surrounded by his own troops, its members were stripped of their positions and expelled from the city. The Guard was later rebuilt with soldiers drawn from forces loyal to Severus. His struggle was not over. Pescennius Niger still commanded the Eastern legions, and Clodius Albinus would eventually turn against him. Severus would need several more years of war before he controlled the entire empire. But the contest in Rome had already demonstrated the difference between possessing an imperial title and possessing imperial power. The Praetorian Guard could open the gates of the palace, the Senate could issue decrees, coins could display the face of a new emperor. But none of those things could force the frontier armies to obey. Didius Julianus had bought the words that made him emperor. Septimius Severus arrived with the soldiers who could make those words mean something.